Right, hello everyone, welcome back to the teaching base here at Ickleton Golf Club. My name's Jack Lee, I'm the head teaching professional here at Ickleton Golf Club. In today's video we're going to talk to you about the importance of finding the right loft on your driver for you, because it might just squeeze you an extra few yards. Let's get into it. Right then, so welcome back everyone. Like I said, my name's Jack, this is Jack Lee Golf. In today's video we're going to talk about the importance of having the correct loft on your driver head. So the little bit of an experiment that I'm thinking of doing today is I'm going to hit it off my setting that I was fitted for. I'm then going to loft it up and see what effects we get, and I'm going to talk you through the impact factors that change if you were to have an incorrectly lofted driver for you, in the sense that it was too lofted. And then we're going to loft it down, and then we're going to talk about the exact same thing. So without further ado, I'm going to hit some golf balls with this driver. 8.25 degrees it is currently, and let's see what distances we get. Right, well that's 5 successful shots done with my driver. Let's see the results. Right, okay then, let's have a look at those results. I'm probably going to pull up some data on screen for you now. So first and foremost, let's have a look what that club was doing through the hitting area. So for the most part you can see my strikes were pretty centred, face and path pretty square, hitting 2 degrees up. So these are all, you know, key ingredients when it comes to hitting it quite far. The main thing that we're going to look at though is that dynamic loft. So as you can see, I've delivered 15. I'll pull up this other graphic for you as well. This is not just on this occasion, so on average I've delivered 16.1 degrees of loft. Now that is optimum for me to then launch that ball at 10.6 degrees, and as you can see, distance wise that is getting me my furthest distances. Average carry on those shots was 279 yards. There was one that got out to 288 and there was one that was as short as 272, all with a peak height of 33 yards. So today we're going to have a mess with dynamic loft to change trajectories, to change spins, all that kind of stuff. Spin coincidentally was 2,475 on average. Again, that is the optimum number for me to arguably my furthest distances. The analogy that I'm going to probably use now, and you guys might hear me use it again later on in this video, is you've got to think about adjusting loft like a hose pipe in your garden. So what do I mean by that? Is Jack going bonkers? That's what you're thinking. So there will be an optimum angle for you to point your hose pipe, which is going to send that water as far down the garden as possible. If, like today, we're going to add too much loft to the driver, you're going to notice it's going to come up short, and if we are to also de-loft that driver too much, you're going to notice that that water stream does not also reach the bottom of your garden. Or that's what he says. It's all good in theory, isn't it? Let me now change my driver to a higher lofted setting and see what results we get. So I've got my trusted tool. Like I said, mine was on 8.25. I'm now going to loft it up to somewhere, if I don't drop my wrench, somewhere in the region of 11 degrees. Right then, we're now at 11 degrees. You'll see that it says higher on that neck. That's plus 2 degrees of loft. I'm going to try and deliver it exactly the same. Let's see what results we get. A prediction from me, we're not going to see any of these golf balls reach 288 yards. Right, do you know what? Decent drives. Be interesting to see what info comes out from that batch. So first and foremost, you'll notice that my strikes haven't changed much. There might have been a slight change in angle of attack. We have seen quite considerably a change in spin, a change in peak height. Okay, so before we had a peak height which was 33 yards, pretty optimal for myself, like I said. Now we've got a peak height of 45 yards, too high, costing us distances. Carry has gone from 279 to 266. This is only changing that driver head by, was it 3 degrees aloft, something like that? Spin's gone to 2,900, again just climbing to the higher side, which is something else that is going to lose us distance. Launch angle has gone from 10.6 to 14.3. Dynamic loft delivered has gone from 16 degrees to 19 degrees. Just a bit of a side note on that dynamic loft idea, there is an optimum for each swing speed. Because I swing it faster, typically I would want my dynamic loft and my launch angle to be a bit lower. My clubhead speed at the minute is about 115 mile an hour, something like that. So if you're someone in the 90s, 16 is not going to work for you. You probably need to be somewhere in the realms of 17 to 20, again depending on your delivery. The main message that I want to spread during this video is go and see your local PGA pro. If he's got a launch monitor like ours, the GC Quad, could be a Flight Scope Mevo, could be a Flight Scope, any sort, all that kind of stuff. If he's got a launch monitor, he will be able to tell you pretty quickly what is the perfect loft for you and how you could potentially gain a few more yards worth of distance. There is one test we are yet to do, and that is dropping my driver down to 7 degrees. Comment below, what are your predictions for this test? The typical school of thought a few years ago was less loft equals more distance. Let's see if that's the case today. So for this last batch of shots, as you may be able to see, the loft sleeve is now on lower. We're down at 7 degrees. Comment below what is going to happen. Tell you something, it's warming up. Right, I'm going to take my jumper off and I'm going to analyse those final results. So, as you may be able to see, yet again, a very similar dispersion of strikes, central if not just a fraction low. A minimal change in angle of attack, so we've hovered between anywhere between 1 and 3 degrees on this test. Club path, again, very similar, very straight. Club face to path, you know, very similar. Very square to the path for most of the time. Let's now check the main variables that we were looking to alter today, so let's have a look in that dynamic loft column. We noticed 16 with the driver that was set up for me. We noticed 19 when we lofted it up to 11, and we've now seen 14 degrees of dynamic loft when we lowered it down. Spin rates have gone from just about 2,500 at a perfect to up to 2,900 when we lofted it up to 11, now down to 2,200 when we're down at 7 degrees. And we've also, if you can see that, had a couple of 1,100 spinners, 1,500 spinners and 1,900 spinners, which for me is too low to be playable. Launch angle has gone from 11 being perfect up to 14 when it was at 11 degrees and down to 9 degrees now, only launching at 9 degrees. Distance, most crucially, was 279 when we had the right loft of driver, the optimum flight, up to 266 when our flight increased too much, went almost up that barrier there. That was quite conveniently placed, weren't it? And then down to 252 when we had too little loft on the driver. Peak heights went from 33 at being perfect up to 45 when the loft was too high, and down to 22 when the loft was too low. So how important is it that you get the right loft of driver for you when it comes to distance? Absolutely imperative. So hopefully you found that quite informative. I've quite enjoyed doing that test today. It was a bit of validation. I had a couple of ideas coming into that today that I've now, I won't say laid to rest, I was fairly confident that that was going to happen, but it's been nice to show you guys what goes off when you've got an incorrectly lofted driver. So that's been it from me today. If you've enjoyed this test, please make sure you're doing the usuals of liking, sharing, subscribing. Apart from that, I will see you in the next video. Be sure to stay tuned. Catch you in the next one. Later.